during the day I developed this weird pain in my side. Got ready for bed, and when I went to lay down, I honestly didn't realize how much it was hurting either. And what I mean by that is when I laid down, I just laid down normal and I screamed out in pain. Okay friends, it is loud in here. We are heading over many rivers, many woods, many mountains. We are out of state, officially, going to a big family reunion that we go to every summer. It is going to be lots of fun, and I am going to be sharing tidbits of every day for at least the next week. My 40th birthday is coming up. We got appointments, we got late days, we got all the things. You're gonna see it all. So if you wanna see Jamerrill doing all the things, here we go. So we're going in this shop and save. I already got food at Costco, but we feel like we should add in some drinks too. These sodas here, 2 for $5, so it's $5 for a 24 pack, would be the equivalent. And then here they got the name brand. Of course, you know, I'm nickel and dime everything. For $5.25. Ooh, real expensive. And then they got these 10 for 10. We were trying to find a box of like those hug drinks for kids. Bring a bunch of those for all the kids at the reunion, but having trouble finding them here. Okay, so we got 2 things of this orange soda, 4 things of the root beer, only 3 things of this Capri Sun. I only took $21 in there. Expensive little country store, how they tend to be. So Travis is getting good dad points. He got all kinds of fun little treats. Extra fun doing our bubbles right now. So this is one thing they got. And then Travis got all this stuff. The summer stuff's on clearance because it's August. You know, no one needs to have fun anymore, I guess. So got a Paw Patrol ball pit. You guys got your bubbles going.
Mommy.
Yeah, are you supervising Liam? He's almost got it. Wow, Liam, what is that, man?
Snake skin.
Awesome. Country fun's is starting already. Yeehaw. So proof that it's a family reunion. We got all the slow cookers, all those Costco chips, all the cakes. That's what's left of Jaden's birthday cake. They always do a bubble blowing contest, and then kids win things, and there's also prizes for like whoever came the farthest and whoever's the oldest and those kind of things. And then Travis is filling out for door prizes. Everyone has to sign their name. Okay, so we had a wonderful family reunion all day. If you can hear the noise, I see that. We passed this playground on the way in that had one of these splash pad parks. So we have no towels. But Travis was like, we have to stop there on the way home. You can. Some of the kids have swimsuits, some don't. They're gonna be wet. There's Daniel over there. There's Amelia running through. Oh wow, this is fun. They'll just have to dry in the sunshine. Okay friends, so happy Sunday. We had a wonderful church service this morning. Don't know if I even showed it. Don't think I did. Made it back for the reunion. Good night's sleep. All of those things. So, we have some driving around we're gonna do today after church before we go home. I do have meatballs in the slow cooker for dinner. However, we need lunch while we're out. So lately, you know, we got different large family food hacks, right? And of course, the biggest hack is to pack lunch and then we would eat it on the hour drive home. And we also don't have time to eat out at like the pizza buffet or anything today. Of course, this mama, I didn't pack our big lunch. Went to Costco, that's what I'm trying to say. So for $1.50, you get one of these huge, it's like bigger than an average hot dog, and you get a drink for $1.50. So I got all the kids, we've got 7 kids with us today, big hot dog, drink. Then my mom and I each got the Costco chicken Caesar salad. Travis got those, that's what this wrapper is, those Italian sausages. Feeding 10 people lunch today, $29. If you're a large family, you know that sounds like a deal. Yes and amen. So here's our box with all the hot dogs and the salads. And yeah, so now we're gonna eat lunch on the road. So we ate our Costco lunch. We drove by, looked at 2 houses, did a drive-by on them both. Both passed drive-by inspection. There's always that first layer. If they pass that, then we might go have a look inside. Got home, the kids had root beer floats. They were excited about that. I took a nap, that was my excitement. And now everyone else is at home. The kids were playing, then they're doing jobs. Travis is handling all of that. But I went back to church. Yes, so let's go inside. Tuesday morning, Yep, we have just jumped from Sunday to Tuesday. Yesterday, I had a bunch of video and I had to get done. That was not for this video. I like to try to stay a week or 2 weeks ahead for YouTube. I had a haul video I needed to finish. I shopped for it before the family reunion and everything just had to sit there. So yesterday, filmed the haul video. My mom was also here and we had a lovely time. She was supposed to leave early in the morning, but once we got done chatting, it was noon. So that's always a great thing to do, right? Sit and chat with your mama for a long time. Then I filmed the haul video. Then I had part of a freezer cooking video I was finishing up, and then life and stuff. That was yesterday. Today, I have to drive, I think it's gonna be about an hour and 15 minutes. It's 72 miles to go to, she's like a natural woman's care doctor. I am not having any issues that I know of, but this is my 40th birthday week, and this particular, she's a nurse practitioner, particular lady, I have some girlfriends who've dealt with some hormonal things or their teen daughters have, etc., and I thought I would just like to get in with her because surely over the next 10 years my body will have some changes, and I would just like to already be under the care of someone who takes things more naturally and holistically, if at all possible. Then, since I have to leave the forest, I have my work bag with me, so I'm hoping to get out of my appointment with her by noon. Then we're gonna go, what I do on my work days when I go out is usually go to like a Panera Bread, and I do support the business. I'll buy my meals there, but I'm hoping to sit and work, do computer work for like 8 hours. Yeah, there's a lot that needs done, so we might talk about that at Panera. But right now, we're gonna head out of the forest. I am hoping to stop by Sheetz and get myself an iced coffee for the drive. Well, that was a really good educational appointment. I did not realize I would get an hour with her. So good. I will circle back here shortly, hopefully in this vlog, and just chat some more about it. But what I'm doing right now is I've got some mom stuff. Got this orange juice. You see, our oldest son is out and about on his own. This is fairly recent, in the recent months here. I am dropping him off some orange juice and meet with him about some work type stuff before I head over to Panera Bread. From the family reunion, you know, tons of people, all of that. There's been some congestion going on. And I asked him if I could bring him anything since I was coming by anyway. He said I could bring him some orange juice. And you know, even us moms of adults, we like to do, if there's any little thing we can do at any time, we still like doing it. There you go. So now I'm gonna go visit with him and then we'll head to Panera Bread. Okay, so I'm at Panera now, and in my little rewards thing they have, I got my pick 2 for free. Yay, so I only had to pay for my drinks. Yeah, so here I am. I got this bracelet. Today's Friday now, and my birthday was yesterday. I was officially 40, and so I got a story to tell. I will say this story could possibly be like a trigger story for some mamas, and I mean that I'm going to talk about ectopic pregnancy and what I just dealt with over the last few days. So if that in any way would be a painful topic to hear about, then just know that's what I'm getting ready to talk about. It's just kind of like my little bit of warning. Also, if children are watching, I'm going to be discussing some body systems, some female body systems, some anatomy and physiology and stuff. So those are my disclaimers, okay? My intention for this week was to film a week in the life video, where you know how it goes when I do these videos. I just get some fun little snippets from every day and we put it together, and it ends up being about a whole week of footage. And the plan, so we had the family reunion, I shared with you some stuff from church, and I didn't film Monday because I had filmed a lot of other videos on Monday. And then on Tuesday I went to my just natural health practitioner appointment. I worked the rest of the day. I met up with Jaden for a little bit, we're all caught up, and then I worked the rest of the day sitting with my laptop at Panera Bread and going through that to-do list. And I did, praise the Lord, I did get a lot of stuff done. Silly stuff that's been on my to-do list for months. From like 2 p.m. to probably 9 p.m. I sat and worked the whole time. Within that time, probably about the time that I was taking the orange juice to Jaden, I got this odd pain in my lower left side. And I thought, you know, woman pain, cycle cramp, something like that. So part of the reason why I wanted to go to that like natural health nurse practitioner was because my cycles came back in January. I was still breastfeeding Benjamin, and for the last 7 months or so, it hasn't been a regular like 28 day to 32 or whatever day cycle. It's been like every 58 days. And so every other month I think I'm pregnant, and of course every other month I'm not. It's been a 58 day cycle, which I didn't really stop lactating, like stop making milk for Benjamin until May when I went on that trip to Utah. He had been slowing down anyway with his nursing, and when I went away for 5 days to Utah, I figured, well, that would kind of like close up shop as far as he goes. And so I called in May to make an appointment with this woman's health nurse practitioner because I have some girlfriends in real life who've had some different hormonal things and such, and I figured since I was only cycling every other month pretty much, it'd be good to just go ahead and get in there and, hey, I'm about to turn 40 and let's just let's run that hormone panel, let's see how my thyroid's doing. And she was gonna do the saliva test and then the blood work, but she wanted to wait until I had not been breastfeeding for 3 full months before she met with me and did the testing, because by that point my hormones should be like back where they need to be. So there's some backstory for you, okay? So when I went to her on Tuesday, it was just a really good informative appointment. She felt my thyroid, and you know, because I do a lot of videos, I get a lot of criticism. People will think I have different health conditions because of the size of my face and my neck. I know, it's just what I deal with because I put my face out there, right? So on that day, I had seen her, I took Jaden the orange juice, I chatted with him, I started to get this odd pain in my left side. My cycle had just started a few days before and it was ending, and that was the first one I had that had been a 37-day cycle instead of 58. So I was thinking, oh, this is great. I must almost be level again. It continued throughout the day. And so that whole time I was at Panera Bread from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m., it was there. I just keep saying it didn't go away. But I was sitting a lot of that day. A friend came to meet with me about the time I was finishing up work, and then I had to go into Walmart, of course, because I drive by Walmart and I have to go in, but I had a list of some things for Walmart. And the whole time I was walking in Walmart that evening, it was hurting. Then I got home, and I hadn't mentioned to Travis yet that during the day I developed this weird pain in my side. Got ready for bed, and when I went to lay down, I honestly didn't realize how much it was hurting either. And what I mean by that is when I laid down, I just laid down normal and I screamed out in pain. Obviously Travis jumped and I was startled by how much that hurt. And I was just explaining to him, look, I got this weird pain. I don't know what's happening, but I'm gonna go to bed and it's gonna be better by morning, I bet. Then I got up the next morning and it wasn't gone. So what I did is I called my OBGYN because the big thing that was concerning to me, it was on my left side where my left ovary is. And because I have had some hormonal things for the last 7 months, I was, you know, of course, thinking cyst and such. And whenever you start Googling that, I mean, it could be anything. I could be growing a second head. So I called my OBGYN and I just said, hey, out of nowhere yesterday, I developed this sharp pain. It now feels like a knife in my left ovary. And I can't bend, I can't put my shoes on, hurts real bad. I don't have a fever or pain anywhere else in my body, just this one spot. And they told me to go to the ER. And I thought, I don't necessarily like just want to go into the ER. I don't want to spend my whole day there. If I could get into a doctor, that would be great. And part of their concern is she was getting ready to go out of town, so she was super booked up, didn't have a lot of room at all. So I called the women's health nurse practitioner who I just met the first time and just went in the day before. I explained to them And of course, you know, in nursing, when you do the whole pain level thing, I'm telling them, like, the pain at its worst, if I would try to bend or anything, I mean, it was like an 8 or a 9. It was excruciating. They told me the same thing. You best just go into the ER. It might not be OBGYN related, and even if it is, just go in. So Travis had all the kids, you know, get ready and get book bags ready. I mean, there's a lot of ways we can do it, and that's the thing, like, large family emergency, everything's an hour away, and I was gonna drive myself because I could sit, and as long as I didn't move it, you know, it's just silly. Of course, I shouldn't drive myself. So Travis just had the kids, like, everyone packed a book bag, and I got my stuff together, and we drove to the hospital, and they dropped me off. And then he took them to playgrounds and to a friend's house. I mean, they did things all day, and I waited at the emergency room. Now, my big concern going in was that somehow it was an ectopic pregnancy. Now, whenever I Googled, you know, a lot of the symptoms didn't line up with that, but it was that sudden onset of excruciating pain and the fact that my hormones have obviously been wonky, having 58-day cycles. Also, I talked to another friend who told me that a friend of hers, you know, I know it's stories passing on, but sometimes that lets you know, maybe you're not nuts, maybe it is possible, but a friend of hers had an ectopic pregnancy. She'd had negative pregnancy tests, and she had what she thought was a period for a few days. But it wasn't actually a period, it was bleeding from where her fallopian tube had ruptured. And I had just had a 4-day period that kind of ended abruptly, and mine usually are like 7 days. All that to say, I went into the ER thinking that maybe it could be. Again, it could have also been a cyst, or maybe a cyst that had ruptured. I've never had cysts, but you know, this is new. I had read something about, you know, ovaries. There can be different reasons that maybe the blood flow gets cut off, or there's a twisting that can happen. It was that level of pain. Obviously, that's why I went into the emergency room, because I didn't know what I was dealing with. And if a blood supply was cut off to my ovary, just obviously, that's all the reasons to go into the emergency room. So I went in there, I waited a while. When I did go back to be assessed, and when I ran through everything with the nurses who were assessing me, the one nurse looked at me and she said, as far as an ectopic pregnancy, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, a tubal pregnancy, you know what I mean. The nurse just said, you know, hun, it presents different in different women. So even though you don't have some of the other symptoms, they're definitely going to assess you for this, because, I mean, it could be. So that was the hardest part for me. It was probably, I got into the emergency room about 1. It was probably 3 or 3:30 before I got that assessment, and then got taken back to like a little cubby room. They did the pee in the cup, the urine specimen, and they put, you know, a blood spot, I don't even know what to call it right now, a spot where they could run an IV in my arm. I have a scar tissue here. Actually, in nursing school, I donated plasma. Jaden was 3 years old and Zion was a baby, and we had a plasma donation center in our town, and I could get like $60 a week, like $240 a month for donating plasma, and they had a little free childcare center. So twice a week we went in, and for like an hour, so it was like, you know, $30 each time. I think they had, it was $25 the first, but $35 if I came a second day. So all through nursing school, that was like our grocery money. I would go donate plasma. You needed to hear that story. So I have scar tissue here, and I always tell like healthcare people, like, this is actually a great spot on me if you need to draw blood. Some people, it doesn't work well with scar tissue, but with me, it's a great site. But I didn't realize when I told her that and she drew blood that she was actually leaving it in so that they could access the vein later. Obviously in nursing, you know, you're trying to never put an IV in an anacubical space, right? So I should have kept my mouth shut, because then I had this painful thing in my arm. I couldn't bend my left arm for hours. So, and let me start saying, at this point, this was my last day in my 30s. This was my last day at 39. This day in the ER. And so since I had this pain, and since I had that talk with the nurse, and since I had a talk with a friend who knew someone who my symptoms lined up with, I spent the next 4 or so hours going through waves of getting really worked up that it was a tubal pregnancy and trying to calm myself back down. And I was Googling like mad, trying to find out if they've ever been able to successfully take a baby that has started to grow in the tube and move it to the uterus. You know, has there been, there's so much they can do. I mean, we do artificial insemination, if I'm even saying that right in this day and age. You know, embryo adoption and all that. Why couldn't they move it from my tube to my uterus? Of course I read there's blood supply, there's a lot involved, but I'm just saying I spent 4 hours in this really worked up state, trying to not bawl my eyes out, because I was also at the same time had the reality of the pain of the knife in my side. And I was just picturing if the tube had ruptured, and then I was going to, if I would lose an ovary. And then there are women who still get pregnant with just one ovary, but obviously since I'm already 40, you know, it just decreases my chances. And then I kept going through the waves of loss. You know, did we have a baby and my tube is ruptured and I've lost it? Is there still a baby there, but there's nothing we can do? I don't know. It was really hard. I had the Tortured for Christ book with me by Richard Wombrand. I know I've mentioned his books before. He was a pastor who, he was 14 years tortured and suffered in communist prisons. His ministry now is What is the Voice of the Martyrs Today. I've read, I think, all of his books. This one I've had in my purse lately. I haven't been able to get to work back with it. So the reason I'm sharing that is that's honestly how I kept myself calm. My brain kept rushing to, because you know, I mean, I'm just sitting there in pain, and my brain just kept rushing to all the tubal pregnancy things, just like I was already grieving what I thought was coming. So I just kept reading this book. The waves of all that it could be kept coming. I just kept telling myself, like, I have no information yet. I have to stay calm. And I had to be calm, obviously, to advocate for myself and to follow directions and tell them exactly about the pain. So I just kept reading this book. Certainly took my mind off of my own troubles. And then they came and took me for an ultrasound. And that ultrasound showed both ovaries just fine, empty uterus, no fluid anywhere that would indicate, like nothing was swollen that would indicate a tubal pregnancy. So at that point, I felt like a woman relieved of a great burden. I was incredibly thankful that that's not what I was going through. And of course the ultrasound tech was pretty sure that's what she was seeing. Of course the doctor would have to read it and all, but from what I could tell, I felt pretty confident that must not be what I'm dealing with. So that was great. I had my joy back. I wasn't dealing with that at that moment. And I'm so sorry for all the mamas who have dealt with that. So they take me back to the same little seat in my little ER cubby. I still have the same excruciating pain in my left side. About 7 o'clock or so, I finally get to see an ER doctor, and none of it's their fault. I mean, they were slammed, but he tells me that the ultrasound didn't show any trouble with my ovary or my fallopian tubes, didn't show a tubal pregnancy. Their blood testing didn't show pregnancy. all of that, I did have some inflammation in my urine, so their plan was to just give me an antibiotic and some pain medicine if I wanted it and send me home. And I said, well, awesome, so excited that the ultrasound found there were no issues. I mean, the reason that they really went down that route is what I was saying. I want to be sure it's not these things. But I said to him, I presented with lower left quadrant abdominal pain. It's still there. If you send me home with some pain medicine and an antibiotic, we still don't know why I have this pain. What else could it be? And so he asked me if it was diverticulitis, or if he asked me, but he asked if there's a history about it in my family, or if I've ever had it. I never had it, but I have a family member who did, a close family member. And so he said, well, we could do a full CT scan and see what we see. And I said, yeah, let's do that. Let's actually see what we can see. That sounds like a good idea. So, so he ordered that. And I went back, and I tell you, the two CT scan ladies, they were a hoot. One had noticed it was August 7th, and then of course, you know, they put your birthday on everything. And she's like, oh my, you're having a birthday tomorrow. What are you doing on your birthday? And yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, right now I have a knife in my side, and I'm getting ready to have a CT scan. So ladies, you get to spend the last night of my 30s with me. Aren't you excited? We just had a good laugh over all of that. So they injected the dye, and they did the full body scan. I was nervous. I'd never had the dye put in before, and it does make you kind of warm all over. It's just different. And even that, I was nervous, but I was like, well, you know, protect me, Lord. So after that, I went back to sit for like another hour, and they did offer me pain medication, like to take while I was there. But the thing I felt about it was, as long as I held still and wasn't like trying to put my shoes on, I was okay. There was obviously something wrong. But I mean, I wanted to feel where it hurt, and I wanted to feel how it hurt, so that I could give them that information in their troubleshooting and in their assessment and their diagnosis. So I had declined it. I said I will sit still and rotate Tylenol and ibuprofen when I get home. So Travis and I had been communicating via text message all day. I had several good friends who, being super helpful, were trying to bring me dinner at the hospital and such, and I kept thinking, we're gonna get answers and get out of here. But I got to the point where I told Travis, have Zion go into 7-Eleven, get me a little bag of some kind of trail mix and ginger ale or something, and have that, you know, drive by and feed Mom some snacks. So this was real quick, in the last like 30 minutes after being there all day. It's like 8:30 at night now, and the ER doctor came back, and he said, so we got your CT scan results back. He said it doesn't look like diverticulitis, so I mean, you know, it's not my intestines. All my other body systems and organs looked excellent. He said, what it is, drum roll please, and let's see if I can say this correctly. He said, what you have is an omental infarction, and apparently, and he said, you'll just have to Google it. He said, but basically in our abdomens, we have a layer, it's like a fatty layer, and it can get, it's just one of the layers. I explained it to the kids like if we had layers of paper. He said he said that part of that layer, and that layer in particular, hangs over our intestines and our lower organs. He said that it's rare, but what can happen is that layer can get twisted and it can get scrunched up. And he said that is what has happened to mine. So on the left side, the CT scan showed I had a twisted scrunch up layer of my omentum, I believe how you say it. And he said what will happen is that layer will actually die because the blood supply is cut off to it, and my body will reabsorb it. It just sounds wild. I just never heard of it before. And it should take about a week. And he said in about a week, I should have no more pain. And I'm just taking all this in, again, still being so thankful that it wasn't a tubal pregnancy. I'm listening to all this and I said, well, okay, so if it's gonna take a week and there should be no more pain by that point, I said, will it hurt worse than this now? And he said, probably. And he said, if I'm still having pain in 2 to 3 weeks, I should go back and have another CT scan. Okay, so this layer in my abdomen's gonna die and be reabsorbed. That's interesting. And by the way, might hurt worse than it already does. And so he said, I'll get you a script for some pain medicine, and you know, should be good in a week. So I left, and on the way home, of course, I was, you know, checking in with my friends who'd been praying for me throughout the day, checking in with my mom, and I forgot with that doctor, because he had mentioned earlier there was inflammation in my urine. I had forgot to mention, I needed to say, oh, you had mentioned earlier there was some inflammation and I could have some antibiotics. I forgot that. So right now we're 2 days past when I'm filming this. When you see this, it'll be weeks past, I'm sure, but we're 2 days past where I went through this. I realized I went home with the pain med script, but no antibiotic. I didn't get a printout of the condition or anything because it's not super common, but in going to Google University about it the last few days, I have learned that it can clear up in a week and the body can reabsorb it fine. Obviously though, that process of it dying and my body reabsorbing it, people who have issues is when their body doesn't reabsorb this tissue death well, an infection grows, and then they can get an abscess, and I mean, it can get real nasty. Some people, the pain continues, and they have to have like a minor laparoscopy surgery, and I'm sure I'm butchering that name wrong, and they have to go in there and just straighten things back out. In researching, I mean, what causes this? And so there's a list of what can cause it. The biggest thing that struck me here, the only thing that's changed in the last few weeks, one of the, you know, blunt force trauma can do it. I've done Taekwondo with the kids for 6 months now or so. We have actually taken off kind of accidentally on purpose. You know, with a lot of those martial arts, you go full on through summer. And we've just been so busy with our lake days and all our summer things. We took off half of July. We were planning to take off most of August and go back in a few weeks about the time when we start school back. All that to say, I haven't been doing Taekwondo recently. I shared this picture here on Instagram a few weeks ago. And one of the new things I was going to start doing, and I started doing, I've been doing it 3 to 4 times a week, is running. And I've been doing the Couch to 5K program. Again, not that this program has done it. I'm just saying this is like the main thing that has changed. And of course, a lot of people who do the program probably run on like a nice flat surface. I already have for years. I go on, you know, moderately vigorous hikes, 3 miles at a time, multiple times a week. I've always loved walking. So about 3 or so weeks ago when I started up the running, I just have run on our same road, which is up and down and across different paths and such. And so I will probably never know what exactly caused it, but right now, 3 days, let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3-4 days into this officially, I'm thinking maybe it's the sudden vigorous running in my life. I do have the abdomen of a woman who has had multiple pregnancies. So very long story short, I have a layer in my abdomen on my left side that is scrunched up and has gotten twisted, and it's dying, and it's supposed to reabsorb. So from the time I'm filming this, I am on bed rest for the most part for this whole next week while we go through this process. I don't think this is gonna make a big difference in my videos coming out here on YouTube. I've tried for a while now to at least get 3 out a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But with this summer and just summer life going on, and then I helped a good friend move, and I put time into that, and we were really involved in our church's vacation Bible school, and you know, just stuff. These last few weeks, I've only been able to get out 2 videos a week. So I think we can just plan on for the month of August while I'm healing. I'm just gonna probably get out 2 videos a week. And then hopefully in September we can go back up to 3. I'm just gonna sit here for the next week. I have, you know, I'm 2 years behind in business and computer work. I've already gotten a bunch of product stuff done into the designer and other things I had that I've been trying to get done for a long time. So I'm being super productive on the computer, and I have a huge list. I'm going to sit and just do computer work and watch some Netflix and movies and House Hunters. You know, I don't get a lot of that, but I love it, for the next week. So antibiotic wise, because I missed reminding that doctor to write me the antibiotic script, and that woman's health nurse practitioner called to check in on me yesterday. They encouraged me to call the ER back and tell them, hey, you forgot the antibiotic script, and see if they would call it in for me, because that would be super helpful and prevent me from having to go out again right now, because Travis can go get that for me. Anyway, I called yesterday. I talked to someone. They were going to have a physician's assistant look over my records, call me back. I heard back this morning, and they agreed, yes, I should have an antibiotic, and yes, they called it in, and yes, Travis picked it up. So yay. And again, as long as I'm sitting and not bending and picking things up, and I haven't had any waves of pain even sitting here chatting. So I'm hopeful that in a week this process will run its course and finish up, and I'll be maybe caught up on my online computer work. That would be amazing. People who work for me would think that's amazing. I'm getting back to where I think we'll still be at 2 videos a week for August, because I already have several videos done ahead. I think here in another week or so, I'll do a video showing a bunch of the homeschool curriculum I bought for this year, and I'll probably get a video done showing me opening the box I received for the homeschool mom box swap. Yeah, but again, if, I don't know, if you go a little extra without seeing a video, you just know I'm just dealing with keeping my body together right now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being there. Thank you for your encouraging words and your messages. And it's just a silly thing I'm dealing with right now, but I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Be looking for those freezer cooking videos.